used to try to push friends to dress what I thought of at the time as better, which was to say more formal. And I kind of have adapted over time to thinking that people just need to dress more intentionally. Like that's kind of the difference between someone who dresses well and someone who doesn't, is some people just like literally jeans, t-shirt, no thought kind of thing. Whereas jeans and t-shirt can look good if it's done intentionally. When it's intentional, it's actually powerful.
It seems like being a publicly traded person would wear Brooks Brothers. And so I just kind of set this goal. It was kind of, like Babe Ruth calling a shot, just being like, I'm gonna achieve 100% Brooks Brothers wardrobe. And I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to. I think one of the hardest things was underwear, because they sell either white kind of briefs or boxers, and I definitely prefer briefs, but I don't like a very traditional sort of Breaking Bad style men's brief. So they finally, once they had underwear that I liked, I was like, all right, I can go 100%. I sell shares of myself. If you buy a share, you and I have an agreement that when I have a life question and I put it out for a vote, it's your vote times how many shares you own. Whichever side wins, that's the action that I'm gonna follow. I've definitely embraced this idea of that I think most people think of as negative, this sort of like capitalist idea. And I've said, no, it's actually good, right? Like community through capitalism. Business is just a group of people trying to achieve a set goal. Why can't I create a system where the shareholders put money in, help guide what that eventual goal is? I like this idea of being your best self. Like there's a version of me that is the best version of me that can exist. So the idea was that if I can kind of put that out there, the shareholders hold me accountable to it. I don't have the energy and like determination to be that version of me all the time. I was born in Alaska. My dad was a state trooper there. We were in Fairbanks and then very far up north, a place no one's heard of called Coldfoot, Alaska. We played this game called Overenthusiastic Soldier, where you would, anytime you get in trouble, obviously it's like, drop, do 20 push-ups, and you would do 20 and then you would ask to do more. Eventually they have to tell you to stop doing push-ups. And so you just sucked all the ability of any kind of punishment out of that because you started to enjoy the punishment. I feel like that's a theme that I've taken with me. It's just this idea that you can kind of subvert that authority, and people that are trying to do something, you can just, if you just do it and enjoy it as that punishment. Brooks Brothers started just because I wanted to buy a Oxford collared button-down shirt. I actually went to American Apparel because I was like, oh, it'll probably fit better, it's slimmer, whatever. And it was like, I don't know, it was like $50, $60. And I was like, that seems way too much for American Apparel. And they just opened the Brooks Brothers store downtown. So I went there and I was like, it's like the same price. And this is the company that literally invented this shirt. It's a very boring, crisp white shirt. This is one of my first ties. It's getting a little bit worn. There's some phrase in it, but it's probably my most complimented tie. One of my favorites, which is these Keds, Brooks Brothers. My Nantucket Reds, I call them my little Reds. They're the shortest shorts I think I've ever purchased. It's funny because there's a limitation of choice, but then you can also look at it as curation as well. It's actually been a little bit subversive on me, where I find myself more interested in fashion and in men's fashion because I'm paying like this hyper attention to this one style. So it's like, oh, what are they doing? What are those influences? Who are they working with? Because I think there will come a time when it's time to change the way that I dress, or whether it's to more fine tune it or open it up. I'll definitely put that up for the shareholders. But someone would have to bring that reasoning to my attention. It used to be that everyone was a friend or a friend of a friend. Now I would say it's majority of strangers. Pretty early on in the project, I moved in with my then girlfriend. One of the major shareholders at the time asked, he was like, well, that seems like that's gonna have a huge effect on your productivity and the influences in your life and all these things. That seems like it should have been up for shareholder vote. So then I put up the next major personal decision I was wondering about, which was if I should get a vasectomy or not. And that was a very contentious vote. It was no, but barely. I thought I was prank proof, and then my shareholders had me register as a Republican. And that was a little bit surprising. A lot of control of my diet. I was vegetarian and pescatarian, and then eventually allowed to eat everything. I signed my insurance policy over to my shareholders. Everyone would always ask, what if someone comes in, buys a bunch, and asks you to kill yourself? They wouldn't necessarily get anything out of it, because then what? Then I don't kill myself, I don't do the thing that I said I was gonna do, and then the stock price has no value. There's no natural way to measure the success of a person, right? We don't have that metric. What we use in our society is money. And no one would agree that we use that. Everyone says, no, I don't value anyone based on how much money they make. But we all do. That's what our society does. We all say, this person is on making money. We celebrate the making of money. It's all like finance based. It's like, well, what if my value is not so much how much money I make, but what I'm worth is this share price. So the more that people approve of what I'm doing, the more people should want in, and that share price should go up.
Very few people would choose to do something like this. It's definitely an extreme. It's a little bit radical, but it's weird to have something be radical, but based on all the models are very conservative.
Taking this thing from corporate America that people only vaguely understand. No one's telling me that I should go out and pollute things or be greedy or do all these kind of things that are happening on the corporate side. It's making this kind of corporate model more human and understandable. By making it about a person specifically,
giving some of that agency, that personal agency, over to friends is really, really powerful. And the people that stay around become your community.